everyone, so I wanted to show you another post. Thank you, SarahDIrish. This one is pretty incredible because I'll just let you know. It's awesome. So you should be seeing Tiffany Roy. This is her LinkedIn. She is a forensic DNA expert. Right now, she, I guess, has her own company for consulting, forensic medicological consulting, education, and training. But if you look under that, at her previous employer, it's NIST, N-I-S-T, and she worked in the expert working group, the EWG. Oh my gosh. So she's a forensic expert that was part of the EWG project. It says on there she conducted scientific assessment. So amazing. And it looks like Tiffany has been a professor and she has a law degree. So she's a DNA expert and a law degree. That's kind of amazing. But anyway, so one of her posts on LinkedIn, I'm going to read that to you. I will put that on the screen. She says, there are 3 things that we can never know as DNA analysts about crime scene evidence. 1, we never know how DNA came to be on an item. 2, we never know when DNA came to be on an item. 3, we never know the cellular source of the DNA profile we generate, even when there is data to support that body fluid might be present. Interesting. I'm not sure what the third one means, but we were just talking about that yesterday with the trace DNA. We never know when it gets there or how it gets there. And especially in the Kohberger case, the trace DNA they found on the snap of the knife sheath, that's usually not supposed to be the only evidence you have against someone. And I think that is in the DOJ guidelines. So I think that's really cool here. She goes on to say, to know this information, the DNA analyst would have to be a seer, a clairvoyant, because we are never present at the time of the crime to observe these things. Our comparisons are limited to who could be a potential contributor. Here, the analyst makes observations of DNA profile and opines about likelihood of transfer. She suggests indirect transfer is uncommon or unlikely in the current case based on unsophisticated studies performed at her lab, and the appearance of the DNA profile in the case is wholly inappropriate and an overreach of an analyst clearly solicited by the lawyer for the government. I'm not really sure who she's responding to there, but she's responding to, I guess, another forensic DNA expert. But the main point for this post was the 3 things we may never know as DNA analysts about a crime scene. We may never know how DNA came to be on an item. We may never know when a DNA came to be on an item. Awesome. But it doesn't stop there. There's also one more thing, which I thought was really cool. She actually talks about the Kohberger case. And if you know more about Tiffany Roy, please put it in the comments. I'm totally impressed with her so far. So another one of her posts, you should see it, I'll put it up. She says, my colleague, Debbie Kennett, shared this story with me, and I'm interested to know how my legal and genealogical colleagues feel this would impact the issue of standing in Kohberger's case. Personally, I believe this would entitle him to discovery of genealogy materials, if any, were used. So I still don't even know what type of information they turned over. Based on the way the state and NPD has handled the evidence so far, I don't know about the quality of their work. Now, Edith Payne used the FBI information in his affidavit, but it's still very unorganized. And Cy stated in court that Brett used the wrong things and he didn't use what was required to make those statements. So I'm curious to find out the quality of the work for the IGG. My gut feeling says that it follows the same vein, that there's probably something wrong with it. And it's also interesting that Ann Taylor has surrounded herself with this powerful, experienced team from these experts in the field. So now that she has her team of experts, I think they're going to go through that. They're going to show us, well, I guess they can't show us, but maybe some way they're going to say, that's not how you do it, and we'll show you how you do it. Because I don't know if the FBI or when MPD took back the information from the FBI, if MPD applied it correctly, because it sounds like they didn't apply the cell phone information correctly. That would mean that the IGG led to the wrong tree. Or, since this is trace DNA we're talking about, there could be a contamination somewhere along the way. And especially if Kohlberger is... There's still that Shirley interview that's still out there. Agent Shirley, Ann Taylor requested it, but apparently Shirley no longer works there or something. And I'm curious to see, does anybody know what date that could be? Because if Brian Kohlberger contacted MPD in any way, when was that? Was that before? Because if he was anywhere near that precinct, especially before MPD sent the DNA down to Ortho Labs, that could be your source of contamination. Plus, I'm also kind of curious because if there were any students from Wazoo who ever went into the King Road house, that could be your source of transfer there as well. And I know, didn't Zena's sister go to Wazoo? Is there any way she could have ever walked by him? Or is that campus just too big? Because that's all she would have to do is walk by anywhere he's ever walked by, and there's contamination right there. Because DNA is now in the air. I do have articles about how experts can extract DNA from the air. So I guess I'll post that in the link. They were on my Twitter. So contamination can happen that easily. And like, the master's student, Molly Younker, had said, trace DNA can be on a touched surface, but that doesn't mean it was ever physically touched. So Brian's DNA can be on any surface, but that doesn't mean he's ever touched it. It just has to mean this DNA, if it is his DNA, got in the house somehow. And I don't know, I feel like there could be, I don't know. But either way, I think whatever was handed over to the defense is incomplete somehow. I mean, I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. But I just don't think that with the track record that MPD has, that much of what they do is accurate. I do think that they just don't seem to have, and even not even just my experience with this case. Lana from Truth and Transparency has documented ISP, and Gary Tolson from ISP as well. And there's also Stickergate. So there are definitely behavioral patterns that are already established and documented. Some of them are actually documented in court on the record, that there are these behavioral issues with the law enforcement over there. And that is kind of like a work culture type just environment. I don't think that just turns on and off. So I do think that because of that type of behavior, that it's highly likely that that decreases the amount of accuracy that is possible right now or is possible from that area. So I am interested to learn about the IgG. And you know what? That's another one of those things where we should be able to learn about it, but the names should be censored. But that doesn't mean we can't learn about whatever it is that they did. And I know there's people out there that are like, well, the FBI doesn't want people to know about their work. I don't know. I think the cat's out of the bag on IgG, but maybe I'm wrong. So it's amazing how people have an answer for everything. But I do think that, yeah, there's information that shouldn't be hidden from the public. Anyway, I think that's incredibly fascinating that Tiffany Roy worked for NIST and the EWG in particular, and she's commented on the Koberger case. And I'm interested in all the science. I don't like how they're keeping all that from us. I think we should at least be able to know the science. You know, you can redact any names you want or anything that's like really sensitive information. But yeah, that's what I have today. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll see you next time. Bye.